So now we have another extremely interesting session, and that's with EDP, Energias de Portugal, EDP Valor. And I would like to invite you to the stage Nuno Chung, member of the board of EDP. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Actually, it's Chung, it's not Chung, but it's okay, Frank. It's better. It is a pleasure for us being here to share our journey with RPA. It has been a 20-month journey, and in my presentation, I have my presentation divided into 4 parts. First, just a couple of slides about who we are. Then we'll go a little bit deeper into our journey. We'll talk also about what we see as a next step in terms of automation in our journey, and then a last slide with the lessons learned in our journey. So, just a couple of slides about who we are. I work at EDP. EDP is a leading utility based in Portugal. We have, sorry, I must look to this one. We have operations both in Portugal, Spain, and in Brazil, traditional electricity business. So in these countries, we generate, distribute, and supply electricity to our customers. And in these 3 customers, we have more or less 60% of our business. But the biggest growth engine in the last decade has been the renewable business, wind and solar energy. And EDP Renewables, which is now present in North America, South America, and in Europe, now accounts for more or less 40% of our business. So 60% traditional business in Portugal, Spain, and Brazil, 40% of our business in renewable generation. What about EDP Valor? EDP Valor is the company where I work, that I joined in 2015. It is a shared service center based also in Portugal, with an history of 17 years. It is a captive operation. It is a company to where were transferred more or less 800 employees in the first years of operation from the different business units of the group, EDP Group. And we now operate with a large scope of activities, a traditional multifunction shared service center organized by end-to-end processes. So you will find there hire to retire, procure to pay, record to report, and other processes. And I must tell you that it is a very interesting place to be when we talk about RPA. Shared service centers are fantastic places of the organizations to start RPA. So, how did we start? How was our journey like? When we look into our journey, we can see 3 different stages. The first one, it was a 6-month project where we started with the help of an external party. In our case, it was Deloitte. And then the second phase, which we call walking on our own, this was a phase where we started to develop bots without the help of a third party. And then the third phase, which we call the growth phase. And then I'll tell you about who we are, where we are today. So starting with the first phase, where did this all begin? It began in February 2017. We chose a consultant in February 2017 that could provide training for our people. We had this clear vision since the beginning that we needed RPA in our operations. And so we chose a consultant not to automate our own processes, but to help us do that. And so what we asked Deloitte at that time was to train our people and help them automating their own processes. How did we start? We started training our people. So the first weeks of the project were dedicated to training our people. We asked within the shared service center who wanted to join this project, who wanted to start developing bots. And we had 16 people from different areas of the shared service center, from different ages, different backgrounds. We didn't have a specific criteria to select these people. But we trained these 16 people during the first weeks of the project. And we got a tremendous feedback from them after the training. So those were the things that those people said after the training, that it was very easy to learn, that it was easier to develop than Excel macros, and that this would be the biggest transformation of our operations in many years. So this was a very promising start for the project. And so after the training, they just started automating processes in different areas of our company with the backup of Deloitte, but they were the ones responsible for automating the processes. And so after 6 months of our project, what were the outcomes? We had 16 bot developers. Of course, not all of them with the same proficiency, but we had 16. We had automated 35 processes during the 6 months in 6 different areas of the shared service center, and we had a pipeline of 130 processes to automate after six months. And this was very important for us because one of the main goals for us was to create maximum awareness possible within the company to the urgency of automation. So what did we do after finishing the project phase? We decided that we wanted to walk on our own. We didn't want to waste more money with a third party. So what did we do? We created, at the end of the project, we created the COE, the Center of Excellence for RPA. And at that time, we had to choose what would be the operating model. We discussed if we should have a decentralized operating model or if we should go for a centralized operating model. And we chose the decentralized operating model. What does this mean? It means that we had developers in the different areas of our organization and as well as in the COE. Again, what was the main reason? The main reason was to create maximum awareness for RPA. We wanted to reach as many people, as many processes as we could. And so we implemented this decentralized model. The COE acted mainly as a regulator and a coordinator for all the things that we are doing in terms of automation in the different areas. It also had the mission to keep training more people in RPA. And obviously, during this 12 months phase, the second phase, we kept automating processes, now without the help of a third party. So what were the outcomes of this second phase? We had, so after 12 months walking on our own, we had the COE up and running. We had 45 processes automated. And please note that we were slower during the second phase. So in the second phase, we automated 45 processes in 1 year. In contrast, in the first phase, we had automated 35 processes in 6 months. So we were slower because we were working on our own. During these 12 months, we also assigned 3 fully dedicated people to the COE, and we doubled the initial 16 developers to 32 developers, but which were only partially dedicated to automation activities. And so this was a good model. We still think that it was the best model for this stage of our journey. But at some time, we needed some changes. And this leads us to the growth phase. We were starting to be victims of our own success in our journey, and we were facing increasing demand for our services, not only within the shared services, but also from different areas of our group. And we saw that the decentralized model had some downsides like these ones. We lacked control over all the things that were being automated in our shared service center. It means that there were things being automated that we didn't know. Also, we didn't have a very robust maintenance and support process for all the things that were being automated. We lacked consistency and standardization across the different developers and practices of automation in our company. But most important, we lacked the pace of automation that we needed to comply with the speed or the demand that we were facing. So what did we do? We changed our model. We centralized the model, which means that we picked the best guys that were developing in the different areas, and we moved them to the COE. And now we having fully dedicated bot developers in the COE. And on top of that, we added up external workforce, which means that we started working with an hybrid workforce. We started working again with external parties that helped us to comply with the pace of growth that we were facing in terms of demand. Okay. So now we are better prepared for what for the journey that we face ahead. We think that this model that started this new model that started in July 2018 is a better model to grow and to be providing services not only for the shared service center but also for different areas of EDP group. And Jacinta will show you some of the numbers that show where we are today.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. And I will complement our presentation with an example of an automation that we did. This was one of the first automations that we developed. And basically, it has to do with employee administration processes. And the objective is to update employee information on the Social Security Platform Authority. So what does it do? It replicates human behavior. So it executes logins into SAP, executes a set of transactions to extract employee data, and then it pastes that information to an Excel sheet, formats that Excel sheet according to the format that is mandatory to then paste that information on the Social Security Authority, and then logs in 29 times as we render this service for 29 business units within EDP Group, and fills in the mandatory forms for each employee within each of the 29 business units. We also have implemented other robots, other automations in the accountancy processes, user accesses. So we have automations that help all companies to maintain the user access, the profile that each user have to access applications. So these robots automatically remove or add or update profile access to our users. And some other examples like the purchase creation requests in an automatic way and all the automation of tax and VAT return. So now we see after the Social Security, it also goes to the compensation funds. It's a legal obligation, and our company is forced to do this, and most of the European companies also have this obligation. Now, some numbers. So after this period, the journey that Nuno has explained.
20 months.
20 months. We will end to 2018 with around 220 processes automated, not only within our shared services unit, but also in 11 other business units within our group, spread around geographically 3 countries, Portugal, Spain, and recently France. This means that we have already developed, automated around 20,000 hours with our bot developers and bot designers. Our bots are interacting so far with around 30 different softwares. We have trained during this process around 130 people. Some of these people are able to automate, so they are automating within their areas. Most of them work as evangelists, so they know more about automation than their fellows, and they help us identify opportunities, and they are like the focal points in the business units. With this journey, we have delivered and saved about 55,000 hours of work that before was executed manually by our colleagues. and most of this time now is used by these people to perform tasks with more added value. And right now, our Center of Excellence has, as Nuno said, 3 dedicated internal resources and 18 fully dedicated external workforce. So we are able to comply with the demand that we have. That's more and more. So the more we deliver, the more the mouth-to-mouth works, and the more demand we are requested to deliver.
Okay, so these are our numbers after 20 months journey. Thank you, Jacinta. Please stay here with me, Jacinta. What about next steps? In terms of automation, we really see that RPA is just the beginning of a very long journey in terms of smart and intelligent automation. Right now, this is something that we are working on, combining RPA with cognitive technologies. This is a chatbot that is available for our suppliers. We had our suppliers contacting our contact center, more than 30,000 suppliers contacting our contact center about the status of their invoices. We developed this solution combining RPA and cognitive technologies, in which through Skype, any supplier can see the status of their invoices instantly. It is very interesting in terms of supplier satisfaction. It is a very profitable investment with a payback of just a few months. And this is something that we see as a natural step in terms of our journey of intelligent automation. We have not internalized these competences so far, but that's our next goal, okay? So this is the last slide of my presentation. I'll take a little bit longer on this one, but I think it summarizes, try to summarize what we think that we did really well and some things that we did not so well, but the things that you shouldn't forget after our presentation. So first, you have to define a very clear vision for RPA. In our case, I think we had this vision since the very beginning, since the first time that we saw RPA. We didn't have any doubts that this was something that we wanted, that was something that we needed, that was something that was mandatory for our operations. And again, we are talking about a shared service center. So we didn't go through any type of proof of concepts. We didn't spend much time with business cases. We just went for it, okay? Very straightforward. And so my second advice is, if you haven't started, start today. You will regret each day that you don't make this decision. Third, and I think the most critical point, and maybe not so straightforward. Some people smiling. maybe many people from IT here. Okay, so I think that you need to align this with IT since the very beginning. We did it, but you should never let IT lead this kind of programs in your organization. We are talking about business process transformation, business process automation, re-engineering. So this is something that should be business-led, not IT-led. And in my case, I think I was lucky, because when I talked with my peer at IT, he just told me, that's something that should be business-led, not IT-led. And I was smiling, because this is what I wanted to hear. And so in my case, I was lucky, but I've seen many companies and many shared service centers getting stuck in their RPA programs because of not getting the alignment with the IT. So this is something critical. It represents the success or the failure of your RPA program, okay? This is also something that we had this clear vision even before starting our RPA journey, and that was the reason why we asked Deloitte that we didn't want them to automate our processes. I think that it is obvious to internalize the competences. I think that we will do it sooner or later because of two reasons. It is very easy to learn, and it is cheaper than asking someone else to do it for you, okay? We chose, in the beginning of our journey, one and only one RPA tool, and we chose UiPath. We still think that it was the best choice today. We discussed in the very beginning that if we should go to several tools or one tool, but remember that one of our main goals was to internalize the competences. So if you want to internalize the competences, it's better to do it with one tool than starting with several tools. And one thing that we did, we tried, and I think we succeeded in choosing the best one to learn. And I still think that this UiPath was the best choice. One other advice, start with simple processes. Start automating simple things and just show them around. When people see those small videos with simple things automated, they will just say that they also need that. And another thing that we learned during our journey was that trying to automate very long processes was sometimes very frustrating for the people that were developing those bots. And at the same time, they need some kind of control. They don't feel comfortable automating very long processes. So we ended up breaking up very long processes into smaller processes, okay? Involve everybody in your journey. I could give you a laundry list of people to include in your program, being it IT, communication, continuous improvement, process owners, process managers, board of directors, compliance, whatever. But don't forget compliance and internal audit. In our case, we forgot to include them since the beginning, and at some time of our journey, we realized that we are changing processes, we are changing internal controls, and we had to involve internal audits in the changes that we are doing to our own processes. And one other thing that we tried to do, and we didn't succeed, at some point in our journey, we tried to grow by mandate. What does this mean? It means that we went to the board of EDP asking to be the only center of excellence for EDP group. We didn't succeed, and you know, there's a lot of guys trying to do this in your organizations, so a lot of people want to do RPA. We didn't get this mandate, but in the same day, we decided, together with Jacinta, that we would do this on our own, trying to do our best, trying to sell our services, trying to promote the things that we are doing and doing well to different areas of the group. And I think Jacinta just showed you some numbers that prove that we succeeded doing that journey. So if I could do it again, I wouldn't waste time trying to get that mandate. And finally, because nothing of this happens just because of luck, you have to have the best leader in your COE. I was lucky to find Jacinta to do this for me, okay? Thank you.
I need to say something.
Okay.
You also need to find, and there was a previous presentation regarding this topic, sponsoring is critical, and you need to find the best COE or the best sponsors you can find.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay.